We heard this morning a press conference from Border Czar Tom Homan, who has now been tasked with leading the operation in Minnesota. This is a different tactic than we've seen from the Trump administration, maybe in the history of the Trump administration, going back to the very beginning, when there is such pressure and organized pressure and in the ways that these protest movements take place. Normally, it is not the MO of the Trump administration to change course, to do something differently, to find common ground. But it seems like that's exactly what we're seeing here.
We're not making this up, folks. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. They're a federal statute. That said, I'm not here because the federal government has carried this mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here, that's what I told you earlier. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything's been done here has been perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, and anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally.
He said in a press conference that, he's talked to the chiefs of police, he's talked to individuals on the ground, but also that President Trump wants this fixed, and I'm going to fix it with your help. At this press conference, he also went on to say, I don't want to hear that everything that has been done here has been perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. Anything can be improved upon. And what we've been working on making is this operation safer, more efficient, and by the book. Admitting mistakes have been made. Now, while everyone understands, this is common knowledge that there can be mistakes in any human endeavor, it's a different tone than you're used to hearing from someone in the Trump administration, and even saying that the president has tasked me with coming here to fix it. Normally, even if that is the real goal, the Trump administration is very strong in their language that we are going to build upon what we have done, not giving an inch, not backing down to the detractors on the left.
I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March, if the rhetoric didn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations.
Once again, that tone was so key to me because we have heard such loud voices on this for a while now. And you see how that has ratcheted up the tensions on both sides. And I feel like his tone speaks volumes. His words are great, but this press conference set a tone for how the federal government can enforce the law in a way that isn't in your face and making the tensions with those on the other side continue to increase. I feel like this was the right call. I'm very appreciative, too, that in these statements, he was saying that this has not been perfect. He's still committed to the mission, but he is acknowledging there is a change. This is a fork in the road for the way we are going to do this. I'm going to make changes. I'm going to continue to pursue the mission. I'm not abandoning this. This isn't giving up or surrender, but this is a course correction. And I feel like that should be welcomed, not just by people that are obviously not the people in the street. I don't think that those that are organized to a incredible level with their signal chats and dispatching people, I don't think they're ever going to be satisfied. But the people that are maybe more apolitical, that are getting fed stuff by their social media algorithm, that is making them think that the country is falling apart, I think this is the right tone to set the mission of our law enforcement on a good path forward, and also calling out the insanity that we have seen going on. And I think that everyone should be pleased with this course correction, this shift in tone from Tom Homan. But like I said, he's not giving up, but he is showing that the need for the amount of people there was a lot in part because of how much the leaders in Minnesota were pushing back. So I want to play bite 3 because this is talking about discussions he's had with Tim Walz, with Attorney General Ellison, who are not friends of the Trump administration, but how these conversations can lead to less ICE presence in their state, which is what they've been calling for. Bite 3.
Based on the discussions I've had with the governor and the AG, we can start drawing down those resources as far as those looking for public safety threats being released and do it in the jail with much less people. So the drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements. But the drawdown can happen even more if the hateful rhetoric and the impediment and interference will stop. So Border Patrol, I was a Border Patrol agent. These men and women are patriots. God bless them. They're here to help us. And the drawdown will come soon, depending on when this actually, I see this in play. But the agreements have alone is going to cause a significant drawdown.
Once again, the agreements we have alone are going to cause a significant drawdown. I also think these images that you see of ICE in the media, in newspapers, online, as well as social media, it makes you have this image that ICE is just roaming like an army through these city streets. The reason that protesters are able to get there so quickly, and it seems like they're always there, isn't because ICE is ubiquitous and it's on every street corner. It's because they are stalking federal law enforcement, coordinating through these signal chats to be able to get people and surge their protester resources there quickly. So don't always believe even what the images appear to be. They want, and the media wants, it to look like this is authoritarian takeover, when in reality they are executing a mission. They get information, they find out, they go after people that they have information on that are here illegally, and many times are criminals beyond entering the country illegally. But what we also aren't hearing, and what we haven't heard for a long time, is kind of the contrast between what we are told ICE is doing and how inhumane they are, how egregious, how many false arrests are happening, and how that even compares to other presidencies, even during the same amount of time. But the New York Post has decided to report on that. And there's a new report that is breaking down those numbers and shows that ICE is actually doing a much better job when it comes to not arresting the wrong people, not having tragedies happen, than even under the Obama administration. And I want to get your take on that.
Look, these are difficult issues, and what we do know is that under the Obama administration, under the Biden administration, our border was practically wide open. It was massive amounts of people coming across the border. And so as that number was dramatically increasing with people illegally coming over the border, they were also exporting quite a few people and taking them and getting them out. Now, President Trump came in and said, why are we spending money to deport? Why don't we just close the border and not have to deport as many? And so that was the first common sense decision, which is close the border and dramatically decrease the amount of people that you have to export. What I would also add is that the President Trump, in his strategy, is looking at all of the illegals that were able to get in, that were not pushed out and should have been pushed out under previous administrations. And he's having to now go play cleanup. So he's playing catch up from all of the bad policies that people did before him. But make no mistake, we now see the media and the left fabricating these protests under President Trump when they took a pass at protesting under Presidents Obama and Biden. And that just highlights the hypocrisy when we see that they suddenly now pretend to care more about people who are being deported today than they did under Obama and Biden, when Obama and Biden were deporting 10 times as many as President Trump.
That's right. And also, as you see the way that organizations that like to use numbers to tell their narrative, statistics are a tricky thing because they are easily manipulated to tell the story you want them to tell. But just even the fact of ProPublica trying to cite that 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, that 130 of them were detained for assaulting officers, and the other 40 were erroneously gotten. But that is a 0.0067% error rate. And you compare that to the Obama administration having a 0.0225% error rate. These are minuscule numbers, by the way, and normally would not even be reported. But even that error rate of detaining U.S. citizens improperly, it was significantly higher than when under the Obama administration. Then here, it tells a different story that the Trump administration is trying to be extremely cautious and careful here.
Well, I would also go so far as to say that those numbers were absolutely not transparent and reported during Obama and Biden years. People in the media did not care what the error rate was.
Right.
And suddenly now they care about the error rate. The Trump administration is being very transparent to say, yeah, here are the numbers. These are the mistakes that we've made. We've tried to correct those. But the media does a really poor job of giving the context that the error rate under Trump is way less than the error rate under Obama and Biden. And yet they get away with it because people are not reading the full context. And this is what we talk about, I think, every single day, which is the media having an advocacy arm. They're playing for the Democrats. They're helping the Democrats and attacking Republicans all of the time. And it's fine if that's what they're going to do, but they don't get to then label themselves as unbiased reporters. They need to be activists or opinion journalists, and they need to be labeled as such. And that's one of the things that I think the public needs to know. Let's just have truth and report and transparency in who's reporting. Who is it that is giving these numbers, and what is their agenda? And once the American people know who's talking to them and who's spinning them and who's giving them their opinion, I think then they can go out and get multiple sources to understand the real truth.